Hey guys, if you've got a 690 or 701 and you're still sporting the thin veneer of plastic underneath your bike, calling itself a skid plate, then it's time to swap it out for something beefy, something like this. It's the Rade Garage Skid Plate with a built-in toolbox compartment. I'm gonna walk you through the install, and I'm gonna also show you a simple little modification that'll make it a whole lot easier to put it on and take it off when you need to change the oil. This Rade Garage Skid Plate looks almost indestructible. It's got flanges on the side that'll protect the shift lever and the brake pedal. And that level of protection is a big reason why I chose it for this 701 adventure build. So let's go ahead and get that OEM skid plate, really rock guard, off the bike and get this one on there. Come on, let's go. Okay, so the stock skid plate, that comes in at 1 pound 9 ounces. And the Rade plate comes in at 5 pounds 3 ounces. So it does add a bit of weight. All right, next up, we're gonna take the posts off of the back of that stock skid plate. That's gonna be a T47. There's a little bit of neoprene in here that's peel and stick. That obviously reduces noise for whatever you put in here. The bolt seems a little too short. I mean, it's definitely too short. It only grabs just a couple of threads before it gets too tight. And as it is, all these rubber pieces are the same thickness. Yeah, so if you think about it, these pins on the original skid plate dropped into the plate. By definition, this bolt has to be longer in order to accommodate the extra distance that these pins are creating. You've always got to have a box of spare metric fasteners. KTM makes them. You can get them aftermarket. This just happens to be fast metric, made for KTM or obviously Husky. And rummaging around in there, these look like rear sprocket bolts. They happen to be exactly the same size in terms of thread and whatnot, and they're just a little bit longer. I stand them up right there, and they fit beautifully in that washer. So we've got those two, and they're already prepped with some thread lock. Okay, leave those a little loose. And on the front, so there's 5mm Allen head screws. They're gonna come from the other side. These are actually threaded. And then we're gonna put the bracket like this, and I'm gonna use washers and nuts on the inside. And then on here, we're gonna use those same 5mm Allen head bolts with a washer and a lock washer and a dab of thread locker. We'll slide the skid plate into the grommets at the back. $5mm Allen head screw with a lock washer and then a regular washer. Locating that bolt and getting it started is super finicky. So not a fan of the fact that I can't put my T-handle straight in here, slightly off angle. It feels like there should be a groove or something in the skid plate for whatever ratchet or whatever tool you're using. You can't get a straight shot at it. All right, so the current setup is very finicky. It's really hard to locate these screws. And even though they're not actually tight, there's not enough play to make it simple to take this off the bike and put it back on again. So just to kind of give you a frame of reference, is the hole is about a 15/64 opening, and we could go with a 1/4 inch drill bit and it would take just a tiny bit off, but I'm gonna go 9/32. I think 9/32 will give me enough play so that it's easy to locate those screws. Also leave enough meat on the bracket to make sure that it has the strength it needs. I think the 9/32 will make it a really nice compromise between strength and ease of taking it on and off the bike. So I'm gonna drill those out and get it back installed. Okay, with that drilled out to 9/32, quite a bit more room for it to move around, but still plenty of meat left on that bracket. All right, in addition to drilling out the holes for the bracket, I'm gonna suggest that for some reason, these screws, they're somehow harder to get threaded in. And in just trying a similar sized fastener, it takes up the thread a little easier and goes in easier. And so for whatever reason, I'm not gonna use the fastener that comes in the kit. I'll just transfer the lock washer and the flat washer and use that with the metric screws that I've got out of this kit, which will convert the fastener to, I think that's a T30 and an 8mm. So I got a couple options with that as opposed to 5mm Allen head. So I'm finding that the hole in the bracket is not far enough back to make it easy to put the fastener through, which means I'll probably end up cross-threading it if I force it. Get the bracket off of there, and we'll use the bracket as a template for our spacer. And that's an 1/8 of an inch aluminum, and we'll drill out 1/4 inch holes, which is just a touch bigger than the hole that's already there. All right, we'll drill those out. Got a center punch. I'll just make a little divot to keep the drill from wandering, but it's pretty soft material, so even if you don't center punch it, you should be fine. Okay, with that drilled out, we're obviously gonna lose an 1/8 of an inch, so I'm gonna need to go to my spare set of fasteners and choose about that 1/8 of an inch longer. Just a footnote, it's quite difficult to get the tool bay door on when you put the foam on fresh because the foam is fairly dense. But after you get it installed and squeezed into place and you leave it for a while, it does compress really nicely. So it's snug, but it's very reasonable to get it pinned into place. Okay, while I put the skid plate back in place, I'm gonna use a pick on the other side just to hold the skid plate up so there's a little less pressure. That way it's close to where it needs to be, and then I just kind of wiggle it. So that pick will help me get it in the right spot while I put the fastener on the other side.
Okay guys, so that's it for the install. We've got the Rade Garage Skid Plate, which has tons of protection, great for protecting the shift lever and the brake pedal. It also gives us storage way down low, which is a plus. But as far as how easy it is to get it mounted and secure those 2 bolts on the sides, we really don't have a straight shot at those bolts. And so for that reason, we've had to customize, make the holes a little bigger, also add about 1/8 of an inch to the bracket to bring it back. And I don't mind customizing an install for aftermarket accessories. That's often the case, you have to do that. However, in this case, the fact that we don't have a straight shot at those bolts is kind of problematic. It makes it more likely that we're gonna cross thread. And so I think from a design perspective, future designs could allow us to get a better access at those bolts. Nevertheless, hopefully this was a helpful install for you so you know what you're up against. If it was, as always, smash the like, subscribe to follow along, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.